I keep surprising myself every day. As if I'm staying fairly consistent on a Football Manager save once again. First time in 2 years, by the way. And that series only lasted 35 episodes, so we're quite close to that already. In the last episode, we took on Salford City at home and beat them by a goal to nil, which was a great Christmas cracker, as I uploaded on Christmas Day for the first time in like 3 years. I mean, I called it a Christmas cracker. It was a 1-0 win against a team that got promoted last season and is most likely going to be in a relegation battle. And as you can see from the title of this episode, it's been a pretty good run for us recently. We're top of the league and we're unbeaten. Now, following that game against Salford City, we took on Coventry City at home, and George Moncur gave us the lead with his first goal of the season with 20 minutes left on the clock. But a couple of minutes later, we did concede as we dropped points once again this season to a team that we probably will be battling promotion with. We followed that up with an away trip to Forest Green Rovers, and Dan Londaloo scored his second goal of the season as he fired in with 20 minutes left on the clock. But then we conceded on the stroke of injury time as Andrew Nelson equalised for Forest Green Rovers and gave them a point. We then went away to Wigan Athletic, and George McEachran scored inside the box to give Wigan the lead in the first half. But then Marcus Brown came off the bench in the second half and fired in this rocket with 20 minutes left on the clock. And then a couple of minutes later, Niall Ennis played him in, and then he slotted home to give us the 2-1 win and all 3 points. We then took on Arsenal's under-23s in the Papa John's Trophy, and we ended up losing by a goal to nil as Lee Kang-ing scored this goal from outside the box, which actually saw us get knocked out of the trophy really early. Oh no, I can't believe it. We then bounced back from that defeat against Arsenal with a 4-1 win over Walsall. Alex Patterson scored the pick of the goals with this brilliant strike from about 30 yards into the top corner. And EK Ugbo then added 2 on in the second half and has been in great goal-scoring form recently. And then our final game of the recap was away at Accrington Stanley. Who are they? Exactly. And Alex Samuel scored from outside the box to score his first goal of the season after I think it was like 22 or 23 pass move. It was a brilliant goal to watch, really. But those results have seen us shooting back up to the top of the league, and we are unbeaten. I mean, forget the Papa John's Trophy, no one gives a shit about that. In this episode, we take on Gillingham at home, and they're a team battling relegation, and we're a team at the top of the league. I mean, there is no really point of actually live commenting this game, is there? So Martin O'Neill, who is a friend of the series, also was praising me and my team for how informed we are at the moment, and then we proceeded to draw the next 2 games 1-1 against teams that we should have beaten. Cheers, Martin. The media also reported on how surprising it was that we were so far up the league, and I went to look at the season preview because obviously at the start of the season, we were predicted to finish bottom. We're now currently predicted to finish 4th. How is it surprising that we're first then? Actually, don't answer that question. I mean, that's a stupid question. The game against Forest Green also saw me come up against Zach Clough for the first time since I sold him last season. Didn't even play in that game, so that was a pointless media report. Carlo Ancelotti was also not happy because I wasn't playing Ben Knight recently, and you know, I brought him in to be a right mid, but he hasn't really been in the same form as everyone else, which I told Carlo. But I decided to listen to him for a bit and actually put him into a game. He then proceeded to get injured. I mean, cheers, Carlo. George Moncur was also not happy because apparently I've been continually breaking promises to him. I mean, I literally don't even know what I promised to him, but I had a conversation with him and he said that he didn't want to break the dressing room atmosphere that we currently have, and he left the room happy, which was pretty good management from me. But then only 10 minutes later, he was then unhappy about another promise I didn't keep to him, and then he became unhappy and then wanted to be on the transfer list. I mean, that is superb, isn't it? It literally took me 10 minutes to make a player happy and then unhappy. Surprised I didn't do it in quicker time, to be fair.
Oh, I'll have a pint of fuck right off and die, you miserable fucking tosser.
Now, in between the episodes, I did make a signing, and it is a free transfer. And, I mean, I looked at the midfield options, and obviously we're getting a couple of injuries there. So Jack Payne joins us. He is quite a stalwart in League One. I think he's played for quite a few teams in this league, but his Swindon contract expired over the summer, so I've decided to bring him in for the season. Also found out that I've not registered him in time, and I can't register him until January. Fantastic. Which also means that the only games he can play in are the Papa John's Trophy games, which I've already been knocked out of. Oh, even better.
Are you a retarded person?
Poop on the shit!
So Steven Gerrard is in charge of Brighton at the moment, which I couldn't actually get my head around, to be fair. And apparently he wasn't happy because I wasn't playing his player as a right back, who I said I would play as a right back. I went to go and check his recent form. I played him as a fullback the 2 games before the Forest Green game, where I actually put him as centre back because we didn't have any centre backs, and now he's unhappy. I'm not sure why he's not happy with someone who has the same amount of Premier League medals as he does. So Wayne Routledge did one of my press conferences recently, and EK Ugbo has been in great form for us, and Wayne Routledge said he could be the next Keith Ryan. Literally didn't even know who he was until I had to look him up. Shows shows you how much I care about this team, doesn't it? My managerial performance with the board has now gone up to an A, higher than any of my GCSE grades, by the way. Now, after the 2-0 win over Accrington Stanley, I wasn't happy with Niall Ennis's performance because he's had a lot of shots recently in those games, wasn't putting the ball in the back of the net, so I subbed in for Alex Samuel, who then ended up scoring the goal, which actually gave us the win. And then he was unhappy at me for substituting him. Mate, I made a decision that was the best for the team, and we won the game. Why are you having a go at me? Also, just putting it out there that Niall Ennis hasn't actually scored in 6 games for me. I mean, there is a reason he got subbed. Also, I know that I've been saying that Niall Ennis has had a lot of shots in games recently, especially in the Wycombe games that I pick. I went to go and see his total amount of shots this season. He's had 55 in 11 games. And his expected goals is the highest in the league by far. So how is he not top goal scorer? Because he isn't. Alex Patterson is also out for 4 weeks. I mean, he seems to get injured before we play a Wycombe game. How does he do it every time? I'm 100% sure he just got injured before the Salford game in the last episode. Also, because I forgot that we got relegated last season, I mean, I always forget that. Well, we got drawn away to Halifax Town in the FA Cup first round. That is an absolutely horrible game. Now, we move into our game against Gillingham at home, and I've decided to stick with the same formation and same team I've played in recent games because we're getting some points and some wins on the board. Camille Myzek will start off in goal for us. We do have a back four, Miles Kenlock, Sean McLaughlin, Robbie Cundy makes his debut on the series, and Tasongwe playing as our right back. Josh Knight and George Moncur will be our 2 central midfielders. EK Ogbo, Marcus Brown and Liam Cullen will be the 3 ahead of them. And finally, Dan Lundu starts up front for us because Niall Ennis has decided for a hissy fit before the game. That is literally the only reason. Now, it does seem a bit of a weird game to pick, but I wanted the game where we will definitely win and we'll definitely continue our unbeaten run. Even the fans are behind me. They say that when I stick to a plan, we're going to be successful. I mean, I still don't know what the plan is. Nearly 2.5 years at the club, and I still don't know what I'm trying to achieve. But Gillingham do come into this game on pretty bad form, and they're currently 17th in the league. So this is definitely a sort of game that we would definitely, hopefully, get the 3 points in. Now, from the first minute to about the 27th minute, there wasn't a single highlight. I know, you're watching an actual real-time clip of me playing the game, not seeing anything happen in between those minutes. And it was Gillingham who got the first highlight after 27 minutes, and they were playing the ball around on the edge of our box. It found its way to Yates, who was their striker, who laid it off to Carl Dempsey, who then fired it over the bar from 30 yards. Lads, I think you've wasted your journey here. You might as well just go home now. Marcus Brown then managed to find his way into the box and then laid the ball off across the box for Liam Cullen, who then managed to fire it wide. Still don't know why I'm persisting with Liam Cullen on the right wing. A few minutes later, Josh Knight then found George Moncur on the edge of the box, but then fired the ball into the side netting. And with just under 10 minutes to go until half-time, Gillingham did get on the attack, and the ball was being knocked around really well by them, and they found its way to Carl Dempsey, who then sent a pile driver straight past Myzek. Great. First goal of the season as well. Of course it bloody is. I know where this is going. Honestly, I know where this is going. This is honestly going to be the end of our unbeat run, isn't it? From the restart, we did get on the attack straight away, and Tasongwe found himself some space on the right-hand side, put a great ball into the box, but EK Ogbo then headed it into the side netting. I mean, we haven't had a shot on target yet. Every highlight I've shown you for us has actually been a shot going wide. Half-time came around, and the only shot on target managed to go in, and it was for Gillingham. We've had 9 shots, not a single one on target. Oh, for God's sake. I berated the team at halftime and said they need to be a lot better, and we did get a chance within 3 minutes of the restart as the ball fell to Marcus Brown, and then he fired it wide as well. Does everyone want to just fire the ball wide today? Is that what we're doing? Am I honestly being pranked? I decided with about 25 minutes left I'd had enough of this team, and I decided to send on Niall Ennis up front for Dan Lundalu, and then send on Alex Samuel out wide for Liam Cullen. And those changes had a very positive effect for us as Niall Ennis then played at EK Ogbo, and he managed to escape his man, find himself one-on-one, and then fired the ball into the top corner. It is truly amazing what happens when you put the ball on target. Now, if the boys can go on and score another and then give us all 3 points, I'll be forever grateful. But of course, we don't make it easy for ourselves because with about 3 minutes left on the clock, we then gave away a penalty as McLaughlin then shoved over Yates. Brilliant. Thanks. You know, that is just perfect, isn't it? And of course, Ollie Crankshaw then stepped up and fired it into the back of the net. 2-1. And in deep injury time, we managed to get one more chance as the ball fell to EK Ogbo and he fired it wide. I mean, it's the theme of the game. All our shots are going wide. And that was it. We'd ended up losing our unbeaten record in the league. Honestly, I'm never naming an episode unbeaten again. Of course this happens to me. Fucking morons.